Photography is an art form which captures a certain moment in life and make it last forever. Lilja Jónsdóttir is one of those magicians which captures the moments behind the lens of the camera in filmmaking, which is of course said to be a total another film if it is captured. She has traveled the world and shot for HBO, CBS, Netflix, and Reykjavik Studios here in Iceland, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Lilja Jónsdóttir welcome to the stage.
Thank you, thank you. I wanted to start with telling you a bit about the story of my career, how it all began. It's a bit different, I think, from your regular photographer on set, but it has served me very, very well. And so I started my first job in film, I think I was 18 or 19. I started as a PA, production assistant on set. Then in time, I worked as a coordinator, production coordinator, later production manager, produced some adverts, and basically sort of got a taste of most departments in the industry. At some point, I remember that I thought that might not necessarily be the right thing for me, but I was most interested in cinematography, so I thought, that would be something I would really, really like to do. So because of my years of working in production and in other areas, I'd also touched base. I worked as a second assistant director. I did some adverts and things like that, and this was my sort of next step. So because of that and because of knowing people in the field, I got trained up by a colleague to work as a second assistant camera, clapper loader back then when we were still working on film. And then during that time, I quickly sort of found out and realized that would take a lot of patience and a lot of staying still, which I'm not very good at, especially not at that time, and still not actually. But and so that would not be possible for me. I would have to move around a bit more. What took over then was that I sort of thought that my film days were gone because I kind of had said goodbye to production. I'd had an amazing time, had an amazing group of friends, which I still have and still work with, lucky for me. And then I moved to England and traveled around a lot, and I didn't even realize at the time that during the time working in production and in these other fields, I had actually had a camera, whether it was a single use, and I was taking a lot more photographs in my life than I actually realized. I realize now because there's a lot of them everywhere. Also I've always had a love for photography, a love of photography, especially when I realized that they age so well, much better than many other things. And they become more precious in time. Then, as I had been working as a freelance photographer in England for a while, mainly working in a studio and doing other sorts of freelance photography, which taught me a lot. And it taught me a lot because that I took into the set photography, because it kind of taught me how to read people and how important it is to read people, which is a huge thing on set. For example, knowing that, getting the run of the scene, obviously if it's not explosions and something that has to happen one time only, but if you have the opportunity, for anyone who is interested in that, is to kind of study the character or the talent or whoever you're photographing, because people they are kind of programmed in the most interesting way. For example, most people, they laugh and they go, not cool, not nice, and then this is the shot. So instead of going, and you save yourself about 50 really bad shots for your editing time. So that's one of the useful things I learned, as well as lighting and things, because you don't use flash on set. You need to be silent. And which also brings me to the topic of my current job, which I love very much. And that is that as much as important as it is to be not in the way and to know when to shoot, what moments to capture, I think it's extremely important to know what you're photographing, having the opportunity to read scripts, get to know the characters and know what you're doing, know the importance. And with time, you learn what works, what's used, and amongst other things. But my point of talking about all my previous positions is that it obviously gave me a big gift when it comes to this industry, because I knew the people, for one, not obviously everyone, but many, which and I had their trust, and they helped me, and they allow me to squeeze in, and not necessarily stopping, but we have eye contact. And as important as it is to not be in the way, it's also very important to gain the trust of the people you work with, because making a film or a series or whatever you're shooting is total teamwork, and it has entire team chain reaction. So each and every person is extremely important, and that's a very important thing to realize, because everything works together in one way or the other. So everyone will feel it in one way or the other. So that was one of my kind of advantages, when I started. So then I was just there on my own doing my freelance photography in England, thinking that my film days were not there anymore. And then I get a phone call, and that was in 2014. And they were starting to shoot the first Trapped series. And they asked me to come into production, and I wasn't sure, but then I kind of justified it to myself, because I thought, I know these people. This is going to be interesting. This is like, we're in the middle of nowhere in crazy weather. This is going to be super picturesque. And these people are very important to me. So I go in as a coordinator, and I sort of try to do stills. I mean, it was a very hectic job, but do some stills of my friends in action. And that's kind of, long story short, how that started. Apart from one little story that is quite interesting in this, because beginning that production, I had my friend Jyoti, she decided to come and see me for Christmas. So as everyone in the industry knows, you're not really saying, oh, I need 10 days off over Christmas. That doesn't really work like that. You're in or you're not. But I did have those 10 days off, and my friend came, and we were all packed up to go on a trip into a summer house. And as we're leaving, then my phone rings, and it's the showrunner, Sigurjón, of Trapped. And he says, there's a big scene tomorrow, and it's a big Danish actor. We need to document this, and it hasn't worked with the people we've been trying to use, and they're not used to set. Can you please do it? And I just remember this moment, looking at my friend, and I was like, I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't really realize this was an industry at that time. So I look at her and I'm like, can you imagine if I could be on set, which I love, and take photographs? Like, how incredible would that be? Like, this could actually change my life. And turned out it did. We didn't go to the summer house. It really didn't stop from there. Wow. So I've done all this. So coming back to my fascination with the industry, it is full of incredible people. It is full of, you need to have some serious stamina. And, we have extremely long days and heavy duty hours, most certainly crazy weather in this place for sure. And you spend a lot of time away from your loved ones and your support net. And you're in kind of a language that you can't really talk about to people that don't really know what you're talking about. So you become a family. There is like a bond. I mean, you're together in the middle of nowhere for weeks or months on end or another country or whatever, and they become your family. And this is the magic of film, of this industry, I think, because everyone gets so close, because things come up always in life, and of course also when you're working. So, and the aim is the same for everyone, And what I was going to say before, like when I was talking about being not in the way and kind of being a bit invisible, then it's extremely important, I think, to introduce yourself to both the crew and especially the talents, knowing that they can trust you to not be in the way, because you can't be too close to their eye line. It can be a sensitive scene, and it needs to be respected, and they need to know that they have you and they can give you an eye contact. If it is, for whatever reason, it doesn't suit, then they can go, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And it's extremely important, in my opinion, because it's a gain of everyone to have good shots from whatever we're doing. And, because of the work hours, which are obviously very much in the limelight now, especially in America, for a reason, another story, but worth mentioning, then, it is a special bond you get. And to sum it up, then I feel very fortunate to be in the line of work that I am, to be able to see all the places I get to see and hang around with the most amazing people. But I also take my job extremely seriously, because it is a big responsibility to photograph a scenario and a scene where hundreds of people have put in their work, hundreds of artists and visionaries and, the chefs, like everyone is important in one way or the other. And it's up to me to capture that in a photograph. And the photography that comes from productions like this, it is the work of all these people. It's not, and I just need to do it properly. If I don't do it properly, this is why I have a lot of pride in my work. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity and to have the trust of people in the industry to do that. So thank you very much for the trust. And I hope this was interesting. Thank you.